Okay, the name of this video is Why Am I So Strict? You know, about my advice about dieting with the low-fat vegan diet, the Spartan vegan diet, the medical monk diet. It's all the same thing. And it's because it reminds me of this painting right here, the seventh seal, playing chess with death. Okay? That's what you're doing. You're basically playing chess with death, trying to live longer, and more importantly, trying to be healthy for as long as possible. And, you know, death has a lot of advantages on you, so you want to play the game as well as you can. Most people seem eager to half-ass it, and I think that's very stupid. They don't really understand what they're up against. These are some of the hourglasses of your life. You only get 60, you know, depending on how you look at it, 50, 60. I think it's really 60 is the best number I've heard. Cell divisions before your non-germ cells, they die. Okay, so you don't want to accelerate that by eating meat, for example. It accelerates arrival at the Hayflick limit, accelerates aging. You probably got mercury amalgams in your mouth leaking out mercury that's poisoning your brain. So how long are you going to have a good brain? You're probably getting EMF'd every day, you know, opening up voltage-gated calcium channels, you know, weakening your brain. So you have to fight back by being as healthy as you can. A lot of you have root canals leaking out anaerobic bacterial toxins, all right? Your kidney GFR, glomerular filtration rate, is gradually drifting down. Your ejection fraction is often drifting down. Your fatty liver is worsening, turning into non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, NASH, cirrhosis. So I see tons every day. I see a bunch of fatty livers and cirrhosis. Okay, most common thing I see in the liver is fatty liver, by far most common, then cirrhosis, and then I occasionally see a normal liver, not that often in America. Okay, lots of people got all kinds of thyroid problems from numerous factors, leaky gut most importantly, but a bunch of other things too. I see degenerating spines progressively with aging. I can often estimate a person's age from across the room by looking at their spine. Okay, and a lot of people, their IQs are drifting down. My internal medicine friends, I tell you, they tell me some of them, every single one of their patients over 60 is cognitively slow. Most people I talk to over 60 are cognitively slow, okay? And I see all these young people, you know, all these young guys eating all these high-fat meals and protein shakes. They're all headed towards being, you know, fat, sick, and stupid, like their parents usually are. And so it's sort of like sometimes they'll tease me if I go to the health club and work out with the young guys. They'll say, hey, old man, you should be taking testosterone. You should be taking protein supplements. I say, you know what? By the time you're my age, you're going to be a fat cardiac patient. Okay, here's a painting of Francis Marion, the swamp fox in the Revolutionary War, United States against Britain. Okay, crossing the river in the 1770s, painting by William Tiley Rainey. And anyways, in a sense, this is what you are like. Basically, these poor, you know, American colonist guys are just trying to survive, all right? They're going around in a little boat in a swamp while the most powerful empire in the world is trying to poison them and kill them and shoot them, okay? So they're half screwed to begin with. If they're not very resourceful and careful, they're totally screwed. And that's what I'm trying to say about all modern Americans, modern Westerners. You're already half screwed just because you live in the West. And the billionaire perverts are trying to poison you, kill you, etc. And so you better get your act together or you're not going to do so well. And I made a previous video called A Day in the Life of the Average American. Your tap water's poisoned. If somebody poisons your tap water, that means they don't like you. And who's in control of your tap water? The most powerful people in the world. And they don't like you. Do you understand? Your personal care products, almost all of them are poisoned with estrogenic chemicals. Your deodorant's poisoned with aluminum and estrogenic chemicals. Your foods are poisoned with MSG, MFG, mercury, atrazine, all these toxic chemicals. Your toothpaste is poisoned with fluoride. If you got amalgams, you're poisoned with mercury. You got root canals, you're poisoned with anaerobic bacterial toxins because the tooth is always dead and has anaerobic bacteria in it that release toxins. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is you're not going to escape from this. There is no escape. You know, everybody's in the game. You have to, you know, try to survive. And it goes on and on. I can list a whole bunch more and won't go into that. And in a sense, it reminds me of Hernan Cortez, 1519, Veracruz, Mexico. You know, he told his men, we must go forward, burn the boats. And basically, you have no choice. You have to fight for your life. You're either going to survive or you're not. And if you just take the path of conformity like the average stupid person, I see them, they come into a hospital and they're like, oh, wow, look at all this technology. Isn't this wonderful? They don't understand. It's not there to help you. It's there to empty out your pockets, you dummies. And, you know, I'm trying to teach you as best I can because I'm playing the game myself, trying to stay healthy. You know, I'm 62. So far, I don't have to take any pills. I never had a surgery. I hope to keep it that way. I hope to keep my smarts. I've studied a lot of my favorite authors, and many of them are going strong into their 80s, like Victor Hugo. Other ones, they're crash and burn after 60. They lose it, okay? Like Ernest Hemingway. He had a lot of problems. He had a whole bunch of head trauma, and he was an alcoholic. And then he went for electroshock. Stupid, was taking toxic medicine, so he really ruined his career at the end there. But what I'm trying to tell you, this is it. You have no choice. You have to play the game. You know, there was a good quote by a guy named Ashley Brilliant. He said, life is the only game where the most important thing in the game is to learn the rules of the game, okay? Or he said, life is the only game where the goal of the game is to learn the rules of the game. And you want to learn them fast. And, you know, when people always want to, like, cheat on the diet, say, can't I eat more nuts and avocados and sweets and olive oil and stuff, I'm like, if you're stupid, go ahead. I don't care about you. Go ahead. Do whatever you want. I'm just telling you, it sounds to me like a Hollingsworth problem. The stupid person's always trying to, you know, break the diet. The smart person, I'm always like, is there anything else I can do? Is there anything else I can do? I don't want to end up like all these fat, sick, and stupid people I have to deal with every day. These patients are so sick. You have no idea how sad and dreadful and sick these patients are. They're disaster. Train wreck, train wreck, train wreck, train wreck, train wreck. That's what I'm used to seeing. So I'm scared of being sick like that because I know how common it is. It's ubiquitous. Most people do not age well. And this is sort of like if you're 30 IQ points less in a domain, you don't understand the smarter person. And I feel like that's what I often run into. People don't get it. You know, they're already halfway down the tubes. They're already screwed, more than halfway screwed, and they don't get it. And it's the idea of the 5 blind men and the elephant. I say the same thing in a bunch of different ways. And it's like a person feels a tail, thinks it's a rope, feels the side, thinks it's a wall, feels the ear, thinks it's a rug, feels the tusk, thinks it's a spear. And you have to, you know, feel enough parts of the elephant that you get it, that something clicks, that you realize you're in the game. There is no escape from the game. You have to play the game. So you want to learn how to play the game well. Stay healthy as long as you can for your own sake, for the sake of the people you care about, so you can still continue to do things you want to do. Okay, so that's why I'm always trying to figure out how to do things perfect. And then the other stupid thing a lot of people say to me is, well, you know, my uncle, he drank and he smoked cigarettes, he slept with hookers, and he lived to 90, okay? And I'm like, you know, if you put 100 blind people across a busy street, some of them will make it, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea, okay? And then also, I know what it's like to lose. When I was a wrestler, I had some injuries, and, you know, I could have done a lot of things better. I should have talked to the Schultz brothers my first day at Stanford, but I was too scared to talk to them until after my sophomore season was over. And they were working with the older guys. I could have redshirted. I could have told my father to piss off. I need more time to get in shape. Instead of, you know, my father kind of pushed me along, get done with college as fast as you can, get on with your education. So it pissed me off that I was not an All-American. I could have been a national champion, but I had these injuries, so that pissed me off. I would cry when I was by myself. I was so mad. So I said, I will not let myself fail at school. So I would study till I fall on my desk. The point I'm saying is the regret of screwing up, you can't fix it. I can't go back to college again. You can't fix these health problems sometimes once the damage has been done. Okay, so once you've had a big heart attack, you've lost cardiac muscle, you can't fix that. You can make things as good as possible. The point I'm saying is you don't want to screw up at this. You want to do the best you can at it because you don't want those regrets or failures. And like Socrates said, you know, in order to live a good, healthy life, we need to learn what is good for us, what is healthy for us, what is virtuous, what is right. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to do too, trying to understand things to live a good life. So anyways, I hope you found it helpful.